So basically this female reproductive system that is comprising of the reproductive tract. Okay, tract is there, then the glands are there. Glands we have to, right? So basically two type of the glands. One, Bartholin glands and others. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yeah. Bartholin glands are there, and another which are the major glands, which are the breast or the mammary glands. Okay, so mammary glands are the part of that organ, and that is the breast. Good. So we have to do that. These two things are there: reproductive tract, and another also. Apart from this tract, another thing which is to be included, that is the external genitalia. Okay, external genitalia, right? Yeah. So I hope that you might have, madam might have told you about the different organs of the reproductive tract. So organs of the reproductive tract that include ovaries. How many in number? How many number? Two, right? Two ovaries are there, and they are the size of the almonds, and like 4 centimeter in length, 2 in the breadth, 1 in the width. Okay, so like 4 centimeter, 2 and 1. So very small sized ovaries are there, right? And then these ovaries, then there are the ducts are there, oviducts are there, and then the major organ, that is the uterus, is there. Okay, so all these things. So let me see that in the diagram, that how, because diagram is only left. So let me first do the diagram, and then it will be clear to you regarding all that, and little bit explanation we have to do it. Okay, yes. So female reproductive system that is present in the lower abdominal area, right? Lower abdominal area. And that lower abdominal area, yes. This is wet, so I'm going to draw. So pear-shaped uterus is there. And from starting from the side of that, the ducts, origin of the ducts is there. Oviducts. And the oviducts at the end of this, they have finger-like processes. Like you have studied in the 10th also, the finger-like processes are there in this portion of that, and that is also holding the cavity in this. And that cavity that leads to a pore, that's known as ostium, right? And when the ovum that is released, and that ovum is to be caught by these finger-like processes, and this is getting inside, it's to be aspirated, right? So then this is the ovary, placement of the ovary over here. And this ovary is a joint to both the ovaries from both the sides, they're of equal size, right? They're joined to the wall of the uterus with the help of a ligament. And this is known as the ovarian ligament, right? And so these ovaries alternatively, on the basis alternative months, they are releasing the ova or the ovulation that takes place within that. Ovulation means the release of the ovum is there, and that ovum is to be caught by this finger-like processes, right? Then this uterus, the lowermost part of the uterus, this one, the lowermost part of the uterus that opens up into a tubular portion, and this tubular portion is known as vagina. This is vagina, and near about 7.5 centimeter in length. This duct-like, this is also known as a birth tube, right? And internally this uterus, it is a highly muscular portion. This is highly muscular, right? Because this is to bear the weight of the developing fetus inside that. So that is why it should provide the strength to that. So that is why this is highly muscular, okay? Then let me label this. This is all starting from this to this area, right? This is all oviduct. And that globular portion, this is ovary. This is two ovaries are there, right and left ovary, clear? This portion is known as infundibulum. Infundibulum, right? Infundibulum, and this is then the ampulla, this portion, start adjoining to that ampulla, okay? And the rest of the portion, narrow, right? Isthmus is there. And some portion of that that's joined with this. This is the fundus portion of that, okay? So basically this is a tubular structure. It is lined by ciliated epithelium. Why ciliated epithelium? Because the ovum is to be, the movement of the ovum is to be made inside that. So that is why this is ciliated, right? Then it's joined to the uterus. It's a pear-like structure, and it's having this muscular portion, myometrium, outer portion, perimetrium. This is perimetrium. Perimetrium. This is myometrium. Myometrium, right? Myometrium basically that's formed of very strong muscles. And innermost part of that is highly vascular, that is highly glandular portion. This one, this is known as endometrium. This is endometrium. Endometrium, right? And the lowermost part of the cervix, it's having very strong muscles because this is to bear the weight of the developing fetus inside that. And this portion is known as cervix. This one, this is cervix, right? Cervix opens, otherwise it is closed. This is closed, right? At the time of the parturition, okay? At the time of this maturation, then the muscles, they will relax and they will widen and more gap can be generated. Clear? Similarly, there's a uterus that is of very small size, but near about 500 times increase in the size is there whenever the fetus is developing inside the uterus. Okay? Otherwise, this is a very small structure present in the lower abdominal part of the body. Then the cervix open into vagina. It's also known as the birth canal. I told you that. This is also known as birth canal. Okay. So these are the different parts of the female reproductive system. Clear? Any doubt, beta, regarding this? Any doubt? Yes. So this funnel-like portion, what's that known as? Infundibulum. Ampulla, then isthmus. Any doubt? Yes, Tushar?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay. So, nice. Now next, I told you that external genitalia is also a part of that. In the external genitalia means that externally, external features of that this vagina that opens into a depression, and that that portion which is showing the depression or a very uh, not too deepened cavity, that is known as vestibule. Okay, vestibule. So vagina opens in front of that, and in front of this vestibule, there are two lip-like structures. Lips are there. And there are two. One is known as labia majora, and another that is known as labia minora. Minora, right? And these labia majora and minora, within this labia minora, there is a very hard, stiff structure. Structure is present, right? And this very hard, stiff structure that is also known as the clitoris. That's known as clitoris. I put in bracket clitoris, right? And then in front of this is the vestibule. In the vestibule, that area, the Bartholin's gland open. So opening of Bartholin's gland is also there. Now, what's the function of that? Because when the copulation is to take place, then we can say that there should be that area that should be moistened. So mucus is secreted. The main function of the Bartholin gland is to secrete the mucus. When that mucus will be secreted, and that will help in the easy penetration of the male organ into the female through this vagina. Okay, so that is why this is the function of this. So lips are there, then vestibule is there, and these two, they are the external, and whole of that area externally, it is all covered by hairs, and that area is known as a pubis. That is covered by the hairs, right? So in this way, all these things which are visible externally, these areas, they form the external genitalia. So all that is the external genitalia, right? Now we need to do in detail about the structure of the ovary. Like when you have done the male reproductive system, you have also done in detail about the seminiferous tubules and also the testes, the detailed structure of that. Because in the next part of that chapter, you need to deal with that. So that is why. Okay. So first, let me do detailed structure of ovary, and that the detailed structure of the ovary, we have to do median longitudinal section of the ovary. Median longitudinal section of ovary. So all the details will be clear in that section, right? So this ovary, already I told you that in the lower abdominal area that is present, and this ovary is lined by the layers. It's not oval or like roughly it look like this, okay? Right. This is the outermost layer of that. Visceral peritoneum. Visceral peritoneum. Inner to this, then there is a layer of epithelial cells. Epithelial cells are there. Epithelial cell, and what kind of the epithelium is there? Epithelium is cuboidal epithelium, right? So cuboidal, cube-like cells are there. Cube-like cells. And these cube-like cells, they undergo the mitotic divisions. And you know that testes and the ovaries are very important parts of the body. These are the gonads, right? And these gonads, they help in the production of the gametes, okay? Gamete production is there. So in the ovary, different stages of the gamete production that is there, right? So let me show a part of that, the cuboidal epithelium. Cube-like cells are there, cuboidal epithelium. These cells, they will undergo mitotic divisions and large number of cells will be formed, and those cells are known as oogonia, right? Oogonia will be formed mitotically from this germinal epithelium. This is germinal epithelium. So you complete throughout the periphery, okay? Because it will take too much of time. So let me discuss the rest of the thing. So it's very simple. You can complete throughout that, okay? So I mark over here, this is germinal epithelium. Germinal epithelium, right? Yes. Now, this inside of the ovary, that is hollow. It's a cavity, but it is a fluid-filled cavity. This fluid-filled cavity is also having the nerves in that. It's also having the blood supply in that, okay? And different stages of development of the follicles. So I'll let you know that what are the follicles just now. But what is this fluid part of that? What is this known as? This is known as matrix. Matrix. Okay? Matrix or stroma, we can say over here. Stroma. Stroma. Better word, right? Stroma. This is the inner part of that. Now, germinal epithelium, I told you that undergoes mitotic division and number of cells are formed. And all these things, they start in the at the time of the fetus development. It's not that the afterwards the changes will take place, okay? At the time of the development of the fetus, the things are there. So, uh, develop, in this way, number of cells from, and you know when the mitotic divisions takes place, mitosis takes place, then the equal size cells are formed, and those cells, they do have the same number of the chromosome because this is the equational division, okay? So large number of cells will be there, and these large number of cells, they are in the form of a long type of elongated type of the cord-like structure is there. And this cord-like structure, we label this that egg tube. This is, but it's not in real sense egg, right? This is egg tube. Egg tube. It's just number of cells, they are attached with one another in the form of a long cord-like structure, right? Then this is egg tube. Then afterwards, cells, they become big in size. They get accumulated in the form of, like there's a globular type of structure, right? This is known as egg nest. This is egg nest, right? Egg nest. But no change is there, right? Egg nest is there. So they become big, little bit bigger in size. And then from these cells which have formed in the form, by the mitotic divisions, the cells, they will become little bit big in size, right? And they will get inside the stroma portion, like this is the stroma, and they will be surrounded by, like this is a group of cells. One cell becomes big, okay? Then rest of the cells, they will form a layer around that, layer around this. This is known as a follicle, right? Number of follicles at different stages, they are lying in the ovary. That's known as follicle. And this is known as a primary follicle, just that has started, right? This is primary follicle, right? Then in different stages, we have to show that the growing follicles are there. We can show one more primary follicle. This is another primary follicle, right? Then more number of layers, follicular cells, outermost layer of cell, that is the follicular cells, right? And these cells, there may be increase in the number of these cells, okay? increases the number of the layers. And then let I show over here, like this 2 layers I have shown. Okay, 2 layers, more cell. Then again, another with more layers, right? Then ultimately what happens that a cavity develops between these follicular cells and between this primary oocyte. Okay, so that can be shown like this. So cavity will be formed like this. Now this is the cavity. Cavity is formed. So all these, what are these? These are the different stages of developing follicles. So we can mark these as developing follicles. Developing follicles. Developing follicles. Okay. So like first we have marked primary follicle. Then we can say that secondary follicle. This can be marked as a secondary follicle. Okay. Secondary follicle, right? Then when the cavity develops, then that is known as the tertiary follicle. Okay. Secondary, this is tertiary. This is tertiary follicle. Beta, words are clear? Yes, Tushar, words are clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then
Yes, ma'am.
follicle, and the cavity is there inside that. This is a cavity, and this cavity is named as an antrum. This is named as an antrum, right? So this is the developing tertiary. Then again, that becomes a big in size. Okay, so you have to show that again, big size. Big size, and more number of layers they are laid. So more gap develops between the main cell inside this, and in this way, like just like a stalk-like structure also appears. This is the oocyte. This is oocyte, and that is now clear-cut antrum. This is also antrum, right? Antrum is there. So this is tertiary follicle, but this tertiary follicle is more developed, okay? More big in size. This is also tertiary. That has also become big in size. Tertiary follicle. Then this tertiary follicle, ultimately, when it develops to a big size, okay, then that's known as like a, if intermediate one more stage is there, and we take it as that as a fully developed big size, because we don't have now the space also. But anyhow, let me draw the one more over here. Suppose this is, I create a space over here. Right? So here, still more big sized. This is known as mature Graafian follicle. This is mature, has developed mature Graafian follicle, and in mature Graafian follicle, the, because here in primary follicle, primary oocyte, this is the primary oogonia. What were these? These were the oogonia, egg tube, sorry, that is formed of oogonia. Oogonia is the plural of number of cells, right? Number of cells. So here, again, so this is the meiosis also starts in these, right? And here, first meiotic division completes in the mature Graafian cell. This is mature Graafian follicle, right? And ultimately, what happens that that breaks up. Okay, in the next stage that will break up. And what is the stage known as ovulation? Means release of the ovum takes place. Release of the ovum will be there, and this will come out from the ovary. And what is this process known as? That is known as ovulation, right? That's known as ovulation, right? Then after this ovulation, whatever the cells which were in the form of the layers over here, number of layers, all they will degenerate. Regression of that will take place, and that regression will form a body, and this body is known as, and this is also yellow in color, means the rest of the cells which were there, right? All they will degenerate and they will form the corpus luteum. So what is this corpus luteum? Nothing but the degenerating follicular cells. This is known as corpus luteum. This is also known as yellow body because it is yellow in color. Yellow body, corpus luteum, or yellow body. Okay, then ultimately this corpus luteum or yellow body will become still small in size, okay, and will altogether will be regressed. And what's the main function of this corpus luteum? That secretes a hormone progesterone. You're knowing that, okay? Now within this ovary, also I told you that blood vessels are also there. So we have to show the blood vessels. These are here and there at some places, and two nerves can also be shown. Or this is the fluid filled part, right? So I mark over here blood vessel. So have you drawn the diagram?
Yes, ma'am.
Drawn? Okay, good. And if someone left, then you can do it from the recording too, no problem. Okay, so once again I repeat that the ovary, that is having the two layers. One is the outermost layer, visceral peritoneum, and the germinal epithelium, the innermost part of that. And the germinal epithelium that undergoes the mitotic divisions to form a number of cells, a group of cells in the form of cord, egg tube, in the form of globular mass, that is the egg nest. Okay, then one of the cell that from this ultimately, otherwise in real sense these are the oogonia group of cells, right? One of that become big in size, and that's known as the primary oocyte. This is a primary. Follicle means oocyte surrounded by a number of rest of the cells, right? That is primary follicle. But what is the cell inside that? This is primary oocyte. Primary oocyte, right? Primary oocyte is there. This primary oocyte will undergo meiosis, because meiosis is the process when the gametes are formed. So two meiotic divisions are to be formed right at the time of the birth of the child, the girl, that the number of these follicular, number of these follicles are present in different stages. Okay, and afterwards, after the birth of the female child, no more oogonia are also not formed. Okay, whatever they are there, but then they will mature. That meiosis will take place and the egg will be formed. So till puberty, starting from the birth, then the childhood is there, then the puberty is there, then all this primary oocyte that will be arrested in one stage, and that stage will be known as the prophase 1. Prophase 1, you have studied the meiosis, and the like prophase 1, metaphase 1, telophase 1, all these stages are there, and in prophase 1 stage that will be arrested. Then at the time of puberty, then the girls, they turn up to be at the age of 13, 14, then the ovulation start. Before the ovulation, that that division will be completed. ठीक है, वो जो division है प्रोफेज 1 में arrested था, that will be completed. Meiosis 1 will be completed, and in meiosis 2 will start. Meiosis 2, then that is 2 metaphase, second stage, it will be arrested. And when the ovulation takes place, it means fully developed ovum is not released, okay, in terms of that meiosis. Then when the fertilization will take place, fertilization, how that takes place? Fertilization will take place when the sperm will enter into the ovum, that is the fertilization. At the time of the fertilization, this meiosis second will be completed and fully developed ovum will be formed, right? No doubt we write over here ovum, ooted, but in terms of the division, it is not fully developed, okay? So these are the different stages of follicular cells. Primary follicle, these are the developing follicles, secondary follicle, then cavity develops, then that is the tertiary follicle, right? Then again that becomes big in size. Then this is the mature Graafian follicle. In the mature Graafian follicle, meiosis 1 is completed, okay? And in metaphase 2 stage, the cell will be arrested, and at the time of the fertilization, that will be completed. And that process of release of the ovum, that is known as ovulation. Ovum will be. Now, what is the fate of the rest of the cells which are not utilized? Okay. And they will degenerate. And while degenerating, they will also change color, and a special type of the pigment that will be, pigment will be that develop inside that, and it will give a yellow color to that. So that's why it's also known as the yellow body. Clear? Then this yellow body, ultimately that will regress. It will regress, become small in size. So corpus luteum, the main function of that is production of the progesterone hormone, and ultimately it will be regressed fully, and it will be no more. Should I wrap that? Yes? Have you drawn
Yes,
that?
ma'am.
Okay, okay. Are the things clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is all about the female reproductive system. I sum up over here. We have done the different organs, diagram of that, then in detail about the ovary we have done. Okay. And I think the time is also running out, but anyhow. So what we'll be doing, one more thing that is in detail we have to do, that's about the gland. One gland I referred you, and that gland is the Bartholian glands. I told you the function of that too. And the other major glands which are concerned with the production of the milk, because the young ones, they are immature, they are to be fed by the mother, and the milk is to be produced by the mammary glands. And there are the major basic developed organ in the young girls, and those are known as the breast, okay? And the structure of the breast we need to do in detail. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So now let me do in detail the structure of the breast, so whatever we can cover up. So let me see that. So it's the posterior part of that.